Hello friends, we all know that there are so many films made on the life of Mahatma Gandhi. Attenborough's Gandhi is one of the most significant, interesting, watchable and luxurious film based on life of Mahatma Gandhi. This is actually a great work of art, actually one of the best film made upon Mahatma Gandhi. But what Rushdie critics is, even if it is a great work, even if this is one of the best film, it should not omit which is actually omitting. This is perhaps most difficult to find out even. So this video explains Rushdie's essay Attenborough's Gandhi. So here it is. Rushdie begins his essay with very punching line to every Indian is deification is an Indian disease. Means to godify, to worship, to praise or to honor is actually an Indian act. Then why should an Englishman wants to defy Gandhi? Why should an American academy wish to help him? By presenting by votive offering in a temple 8 glittering statues to a film that is inaugurated as a biography, appealing as a history and often laughably crude as a film also. So Rushdie answers these crucial questions by explaining that he critiques Gandhi the film, not Gandhi the man. That Gandhi the man who irritated the British immensely, but now who is safely dead. So the Gandhi the film satisfied certain longings in the Western psyche which can be categorized under 3 great headings. As a critic, Rushdie do not deny importance of artistic selection, but he questions that selection of art is at the center, because artistic selection creates meaning, and in the film Gandhi, these are frequently dubious and in some cases frighteningly naive. Much of debate about this film is at the center, that why no Subhash Chandra Bose, why not Tagore, and why the Gandhi only. Filmmaker answered that it would have been impossible to include everything and everyone, but Rushdie's point is how and why the Gandhi only. There are 2 great example with us, which narrated by critics by the Salman Rushdie is, one is Amritsar massacre and the assassination of the Gandhi. So very first is Amritsar massacre this is actually the most powerful sequence of the film, at which outraged Englishmen question the unpleasant dire with basely suppressed horror are staged accurately and with the passion also. But what these 2 scenes are mean that Dyer's actions at Jallianwala Bagh were those of cruel, overzealous individual, and that they were immediately condemned by Anglo-Indian, and that is a complete falsehood. In this case of the Amritsar, artistic selection has altered the meaning of the event actually. It is an unforgivable distortion which should not be done. Another very example is the assassination of Gandhi. Here, assassination of Gandhi considered it important enough to place it at the beginning as well as at the end of the film. So, assassination of Gandhi happened twice. Now question is what the importance of this? But during the intervening of 3 hours, he tells us that nothing is about it. Not even the name of assassination. Not the name of the organization behind the killing. Not the ghost of a motive for that particular deed. So, looking from the political thriller, this would be merely crass. In Gandhi, the film, this is something actually very much worse. We all know that Gandhi was killed by Nathuram Godse. Now, interesting to be noted, Rushdie uses the word murder. So, he says Gandhi murdered by Nathuram Godse. And Godse was the member of Hindu fanatic RSS. And he blamed Mahatma Gandhi as Gandhi for partition of India. In the film, the killer is not differentiated from the crowd. He simply steps out of the crowd with a gun and shoots. This could mean one of 3 meanings. So, this could mean one of 3 meanings. Interestingly, these are as he represents the crowd. One lone nut and another is Christ, a loincloth. So, these 3 can be interpreted. These 3 are interpreted by Rushdie as he represents the crowd, that the people turned against Gandhi, that the mob threw up a killer who did it work. Second one is Godse was one lone nut, albeit a lone nut under the influence of sinister looking sadhu in a rickshaw. And the third one is Gandhi is a Christ in a loincloth, and the assassination is the crucifixion, which needs no explanation. So, Christ and the Gandhi. So, movie tries to ponder upon the point Christ and the Gandhi. We all know that why Christ died. He died that others might live. But Godse was not representative of the crowd. He did not work alone. And the killing was actually a political, not a mystical activity. So, Attenborough's distortion mythologizes, but also tells a lie. Now, very interesting question is what we are told. But we are told that the film is biography, not a political work. Even if one accepts this distinction of film and political work, biography and political work, one must reply that biography, if it is not to turn in hagiography, the writing of the lives of saints, must tackle awkward aspect of the subject as well as the lovable side. What are the omissions of the films? The Brahmacharya experiments, during which Gandhi would lie with young naked women all night to test his will to abstain, and these are well known, not without filmic possibilities, and there are, of course, ambiguous ones, and film actually omits this. It also omits Gandhi's fondness for Indian billionaire industrialists. Gandhi died, after all, in the house of the richest of them. Birla House in Delhi. So, a written biography which failed to enter such murky waters would not be worth reading. We should not be less critical of the film. Surely, this is a rich area for a biographer to mine, the man of the masses, dedicated to a simply life, self-denial, ostracism, who was financed all his life by supercapitalist patrons and some would say hopelessly compromised by them. Dramatic interest has been sacrificed in the interest of deification. So what is this point Rushdie wants to make is Gandhi presents false portrait of most of the leaders of independence struggle. Patel comes across of a clown, whereas he was one of the hardest of hard men, and it was witty to portray Jinnah as Count Dracula. But in the important changes are in the personality of Nehru and in the decision to erase Bose from the history. Nehru was not actually the disciple of Gandhi. They were equals and they argued fiercely. The debate was central to the freedom movement. This was actually also omitted. Nehru, the urban sophisticated who wanted to industrialize the India, to bring it into the modern age, versus rural, handicraft loving, sometimes medieval figure of Gandhi, and the country lived these debates also, and it had to choose. So, conflict between these two great men, Jawaharlal Nehru and the Mahatma Gandhi. India chose Gandhi with his heart, but in terms of practical politics, India or the public of India, people of India chose Nehru. One can understand nothing about the nature of India's independence unless one understands the conflict between these two great men. The film, but Attenborough's film, by turning Nehru into Bapuji's acolyte, the follower of Gandhi, manages to castrate itself. The very next is Bose is also can be seen as selected out. He fought with the Japanese against the British in the war. Bose, whose views could have been provided another sort of counterweight to the Gandhi also, and so improved the film. But Bose was violent, and the film, if it actually means anything, seek to mean that non-violence works, and that is could work or works anywhere and in any revolutions. So, the message of the film Gandhi, of Attenborough's Gandhi, is that best way to gain your freedom is to line up unrestrained and march towards your oppressions and permit them to club you to ground. If you do this for long enough, you will embrace them into going away, ultimately to go away. This is worse than nonsense. And if it is nonsense, this is actually the dangerous nonsense. So, how useful word non-violence have been against, say, Nazis? Even in India, Rushdie says, even in India, the leader of independence movement did not succeed because they were more moral than British. They won because they were smarter, craftier, better than fighting politicians than their opponents. Gandhi shows us as a saint who vanquished an empire and this is actually a fiction at all. So the film is an incredibly expensive movie about a man who was dedicated to the small scale and to asceticism. The very form of the film, luxuriant, lavish, overpowers, and finally crushes the man at its center in spite of being kingly's luminous performance. It is as if Gandhi, years after his death, has found in Attenborough's the last in his series of billionaire patrons, his last villa. And Rich Man. Rushdie concludes his essay by saying that, and rich man, like emperors, has always had a weakness for the tame, means a dull, holy man, and for saints.